All right, we're 2 hours into making videos tonight after a very long day of work. At least we fixed the audios, we fixed the spinner, we fixed, haven't fixed the fact that we don't have a single person watching on the live stream. The chat is not working yet. But anyways, let's get back to our meat and potatoes. I'm gonna do this live stream. Perfect. The testing, the sound is working. I'm gonna test just briefly the. Actually, I'm not gonna test anything. We're gonna go straight to the spin the wheel, which was the first thing that I wanted to do. So, folks, look at this. We're gonna spin that wheel now. What is it gonna fall on? We gotta do this now. 10 curls. Okay, so that means, what does this mean? For now in the future, when you follow my channel, you got to do what this wheel thing does. We got to do it, folks. This is our contract with each other. You know, this is going to be part of, you follow the chat, you follow the channel for your education. You also follow because you want to stay healthy. I'm going to put all these things out there that you have to do in order to stay healthy. This is one of the fun things we do. It says here you have to do 10 curls. This is what it fell on. It's a random thing. 10 curls, like, with your bicep, using a weight of, I don't know how many pounds you use here. I wrote 10 pounds, or 10 curls left, and then 10 the right side. And you have to do that, for this video. So let's say another day I would have made another video, and first thing I'm gonna do every time I do a video, I spin the wheel. What is it gonna be on? Boom, 10 jumping jacks. All right, guys, let's go. Let's do it. You do your 10 jumping jacks. Boom, next video, and then we're gonna do the video, and then so on and so forth. So the video of today, it's the second time I'm doing this, folks. I am exhausted. We are 4 minutes from midnight. But anyways, it's on a cool website called stateofobesity.org. It's an organization that's been ongoing for 15 years in the States, and they help formulate recommendations and policies in terms of recommending. I mean, you'll see the statistics these guys have. It's pretty staggering. It's pretty amazing. And unfortunately, it's very sad. So you have a little bit of everything, and there's nothing like up-to-date statistics. Look at the dates that we have here. Of course, they show you what's in the past, but what really is important about the statistics on this website is that it's up-to-date. You see that, folks? It says up-to-date as of August 2017. That's pretty damn, that's recent. That is recent. I wouldn't look more than this in terms of finding an accurate assessment. So who's the first person we have here that's the most affected? Unfortunately, folks, it is West Virginia. And I loved West Virginia. I studied in Ohio, did my medicine in Ohio, studied there, not my medicine, my residency in family medicine, which was right here. We lived there right between Pennsylvania and Ohio. And I used to drive back and forth to West Virginia. But oh boy, didn't I know that West Virginia was in so much trouble. So when I did the first video, which lasted about half an hour, I mentioned one of the things here. Look at this, folks. Okay, so West Virginia is the heaviest state in the U.S. With 37.7% of the population in the obesity range. This does not quantify people, folks. This is as of today. The rates of obesity are climbing. That's the number one problem we had. Second problem we have, this percentage does not stratify people in the different degrees of obesity. Different degrees of obesity have different they have different risk factors. There's, the higher the stage of obesity, the higher risk factors they have. Some of them have, very debilitating risk factors, like we mentioned in the other videos, in particular the AACE, the American Association of Clinical Endocrinologists, their staging system. They mentioned that the highest level staging for obesity is when you have a BMI above 25, but you have end stage. Basically, you have advanced and severe diseases that are associated clinically with obesity. So it doesn't really matter your BMI as much of what you have clinically. But anyways, in terms of obesity, folks, 37.7% of people in West Virginia are considered to be obese. That means they have at least a BMI of, and it's good to ask, okay, well, whose definition are we using? Are we now using, for this definition, the American Association of Clinical Endocrinology, meaning that there's people here that have a BMI of 25, but they have heart attacks, for example. So is that what we're including, or are we strictly defining them to be a BMI above 30? So this has to be something that we have to look into. They don't really specify here, but the definition of obesity is not specified as to yet here. But now when you look here at I'm going to assume that they're using the more standard, the more broad used definition of obesity, which tends that obesity is a BMI of above 30. That's what I will assume they are using. And for the sake of understanding, look at this, folks. They are saying that in West Virginia, as of now, today, 2018, 44% of the adults ages 44 to 64 have obesity. So 44 to 64 years of age, 44% of adults are obese. 26 to 44%, 38% are obese. 26 to 44 years of age. So as far as 65 years and older, they're actually doing pretty good. There's a huge problem here, which I'm going to talk about in just a moment. So as far as racial distribution of obesity, look at that. The blacks and Latinos and the whites, man, we're all getting massacred over in West Virginia. I don't know what's going on over there, but blacks definitely affected, folks. Look now at this right over here. Number 1 rank in diabetes in all of the states in the US. Who ranked number 1 for hypertension? So technically, most obese, highest diabetes, highest blood pressure. What does that mean? And I'm going to show you now something else which I want you people to understand. Check this out. Mississippi is what, folks? 37.3%. So technically, we're talking about almost identical percentages. So rank number 2. Forget ranks, folks. Let's just look at percentages. These people here are these populations are nearly identical in distribution. Between these 3 folks, it's the same. First of all, between these 2 states, it's literally like the same. They have the same distribution. 35.7, 35.7. But just to look at these two, the differences are nearly abysmal. 0.4% difference, not even 1% difference in obesity in terms of frequency. So when we say, well, yeah, well, he's ranked number 2, they're right next to each other. They're not even 1% difference. So looking at Mississippi, guess who's number 2 in diabetes? Oh, okay, they're not number 2 in diabetes, they're number 3, but they're number 2 in hypertension. Now, guess who's okay, look, check this out. So Mississippi, who is number 2 in obesity, is number 2 in hypertension and number 3 in diabetes. But the next state, number 3 state, is going to be number 2 in diabetes and number 3 in hypertension. And that's the sad part. So number 3 in obesity, Alabama. Number 2 in diabetes, number 3 in hypertension. So you have all these states that have something that's related to the disease, which is called metabolic syndrome. And what happens is that the more you gain weight, folks, the more your body develops. Fatty tissue is metabolically active, but it's also hormonally active. Fatty tissue is the biggest hormone for the body of a lot of people because hormone-making gland. What I mean is that it's the biggest gland because all that fat produces hormones and it communicates with the brain it makes the rest of the muscles and the rest of the body insulin resistant. So your pancreas has to start working a lot more, and a lot of other things happen. Eventually, you develop type 2 diabetes, where you become insulin resistant, secondary to your pancreas not even being able to compensate. So let me show you something else which you need to take into consideration, which is extremely important. So let's take, for example, the state of Mississippi. Check this out, folks. Number of heart disease in 2010. Folks, you want what I was saying in the other video is this. Folks, you want to be rich? You want to make a lot of money? You said, do you want to be rich? Let's make like YouTube videos on how to make it big in the health business. Do you want to get rich and retire early? Sell aspirin, sell statin, sell ACE inhibitors, sell medications, sell, and hell, become a cardiologist, restart medical school and go into cardiology. Folks, look at that. That's basically in a 20-year time, these people are doing 6 times more heart. And guess who that population is? They're right here. Let me show you. They're right here. Look at them. Look at them. They're coming in waves. You could argue some of that people are here, but here's where they are. It's these adults that are getting into the older age, and they are the hypertensive and they are the diabetics, and it's really getting out of control. Unfortunately, these people are gonna get very sick as the years go by, and the problem with obesity is that, at least these statistics, folks, they don't tell me the ranges of the obesity of these patients. I mean, like who? Because if these people were obese back here, like this guy that was obese, that 15%, where is he today? Is he still 15? Is he still at 31 of BMI, or is he now at 42 BMI? That's the other problem. As the obesity problem worsens, in that chart, he's obese. Obese before, obese later. Hey, you're still you're obese. But in reality, what's going on inside his body is a whole different ball game, and unfortunately, he's at high risk for heart disease. So that's how they're coming up with these statistics. Hey, we expect to have 6-7 times more heart disease, more cardiac deaths, more people getting hospitalized for heart failure, more people getting cancers which are directly related to obesity, etc., etc., etc. So the other states that I did a while back when I did the first video were Ohio, because I mean, I studied Ohio, and I loved Ohio. I still love Ohio, man. I missed it a little bit. So check this out, folks. Ohio 2012 was when I started my residency. Back then, 30% of people in Ohio were obese. Ranked approximately 19th among the most obese states back in 2016. And I was in this age group, and actually I was part of that 32%. 32% of the people were a little bit on the extra weight, on the side of having extra weight, or on the obesity side. Now, where is Ohio? What is Ohio doing in terms? So check this out, folks. It's almost like direct correlation. Ranked 19th most obese state, ranked 19th, highest in terms of diabetes. Folks, the correlation between insulin resistance, the appearance of more adipose tissue in somebody's body, and the appearance of diabetes it's one and the same thing. It's one and the same thing. It's a metabolic issue at the base, and it's something that gets fixed with controlling the caloric intake. So, all right, folks. So that's basically it. Check this out. What state is this? Ohio. So to my future, fellow residents, or whoever's going to be studying residence where I did residency, man, you better know your ACLS by heart, buddy, because where I was probably around 800,000, and where you're going to be is going to be more on around, you're not going to sleep much during your night call. Look at that, arthritis cases. I don't really understand how you're actually going to get less arthritis cases. I don't really think this makes sense. I've seen this projected on a couple of on a few states, but anyways, it's like the only thing that comes down is arthritis. I don't even understand how that's going to happen. Is it because everybody's going to get total knee replacement? So we're not going to have any more cases of arthritis because we fixed it. You don't have knees anymore. No more arthritis. You don't have knees. You're platinum. Oh, yeah. Okay, so obesity-related cancer. Look at this, folks. Man, talk about a crappy job. This is the proof that as a society we're failing majorly. And then again, who's to blame? Who's to blame for obesity-related cancer? Who's to blame? Is it the parents? Do we blame the parents? Is it considered neglect when a child, not a child, when a 32-year-old develops obesity-related cancer later on in life? Who is to blame, folks? Who is to blame? So, if you love, you take care of your children, and definitely don't let them fall into that 50%, folks. Cancer will not spare your children. It won't. So, although if you can do something, do your best. Leave the rest to God, but do your best. Duty belongs to us. Consequences belong to God. All right. So let's look at Colorado, the leanest state in the union. Check this out. So 12% of 18 to 25-year-olds are doing quite well. They're actually they have the lowest rates of obesity in the country. This is the latest data that we have. Let's look at the state of diabetes, folks. Guess. Who could have thought? Who would have thought? Who would have thought? 51st position in terms of diabetes. Basically, the last place. Yeah, not to be sarcastic, but the last place, I'm like, do you doctors over there know how to treat diabetes? Do you know what insulin is? So basically, that's where people are doing pretty good. By the way, folks, obesity is a social disease. I'm going to say something that maybe some people won't really understand, but on the social aspect of obesity, there's something that you need to know from a statistical standpoint. And I have to do a video on this because it's very important. If your spouse becomes obese, let's say both of you migrate from another country and your spouse becomes obese, your chances of obesity increase dramatically. Another example, you and your family you and your sister are adopted from another country. Your sister becomes obese, so not your spouse, your sister becomes obese. You're more likely, to become obese yourself. Basically, just about every relationship that you can have. There are some that are not, that don't really apply to that rule, but your friends is one of the highest likelihoods. If you have a friend that becomes obese, you're very likely to become obese. So folks, how much of that social aspect of gaining weight is what we see reflected in massive pandemic type situations like what you see today? We don't know. We don't have any. I don't know, to my knowledge, there isn't any way that we can tell as of now. But if you want to be somewhere, you want to be in Colorado. That's what I'm trying to say, because these people are taking care of themselves in a way that we don't know how they are taking care of themselves. But hey, seems like they're doing it right, because they have best state, or before best, almost the best state in terms of high blood pressure. extremely low rates of, at least in comparison to the US, for the country, the best state to be in terms of diabetes. Nobody has diabetes over there, or very rarely. And when you compare that to West Virginia, where unfortunately, you know, 15%, they have 3 times more diabetes over there. Really sad. They have twice as much high blood pressure. It's really sad. It's really sad. So, what's the compassionate approach to that? Is the compassionate approach to that is to do everything. You gotta do everything. You gotta educate people. You gotta help people out. You gotta find solutions. You have to look into newer technologies. I strongly believe that a lot of the solutions that need to come from weight loss physicians, from primary care physicians, will come from automated systems, such as what I've found in Coach Care. Coach Care is an application that does somewhat of a like weight loss counseling online, but a lot of it is done through a computerized system, and I feel it gives a lot of power to the user. So I think with oversight, because I can do oversight of part of the medical stuff that goes on in there, and some of the statistics that relates to the patients. So I think I can orient a patient better with a product like Coach Care. And in that sense, I feel that it's something that I offer for free to my patients. So I don't even charge them. And the balance is, so far I offer them at cost, at cost. So far I haven't charged them anything for it. So the program for me is at cost 100%. I don't make $1 from the balances or the Fitbit, and I pay the cost of the program 100% on a monthly basis from my salary as a physician. So, but the idea behind it is that it's an excellent tool, not just for communication, but it's the future of how medicine has to be. Actually, the medicine that we have in the past was a medicine when medicine was little knowledge and a lot of face-to-face communication. Today, we have too much knowledge, and we don't have enough time to do face-to-face communication. In fact, we're not able to. We don't have enough time to share all this information with people. And in fact, the only thing we could do this in an excellent way would be to have artificial intelligence. Is the only way. And you would have artificial intelligence basically follow someone all the time as a perfect slave, who would have perfect intelligence and would tell you exactly what you need to eat. It would be perfectly compassionate with you all the time, and eventually you would tell it to probably go F itself, because you wouldn't care the slightest bit in the end, and you would still smoke, and you would still drink pop, and you would still do whatever you want. So make a long story short, folks, let's make another state. Let's do Florida. I love Florida. I love to travel there. My son stays in Florida most of the time since I divorced. So let's see how Florida is doing. Check this out, folks. So Florida has currently 27.4% obesity, ranking 36th state in the US as the most obese state. The youth is actually not doing too bad in terms of the rates of diabetes, ranking 11th. High blood pressure ranking 16th, but somehow they rank 36th more obese. So they're actually they have a lot of diabetes for some reason. They are planning on having 4 times more heart attacks. How the hell does this happen? And obesity related cancer more than double in the next in 12 years from now. So I mean, this is a nightmare, what we're looking into. Folks, you know how expensive it is to treat cancer. I mean, how many of you have the money just to blow up on cancer? Folks, if you can prevent it, it's now. Now, if you are healthy, work on your weight. You can prevent yourself so many things. And more, the technology we have will allow you to live a long life you know, we will be able, most likely than not in the future, to treat cancer again and again and again and again. But every time you're going to be in worse shape. So the quality of life that you're going to have may not be as good. It's like all these people. Look, when we have statistics like this that say, oh yeah, let's get Delaware. Hell, why not? Delaware, you have, now you're part of the 271,000 that got a heart attack, you know, projected heart disease. So these guys got a heart attack. When you're part of that number, folks, you know, and you survive, and you get another heart attack and you survive that one too, man, if you could have it prevented, wow. I think we all want that. We want that for you. You want that for yourself. But definitely, you know, keep watching these videos. I hope they help you, you know, kind of get you in the mood for change. The mood for change comes from knowledge. It comes from information. It comes from getting options. You need to know what to do in terms of choosing. You need to have options. You need to know what are good options, and you need to choose what you like from good options, not choose what you like from crappy options. But anyways, folks, I'm extremely tired. It's midnight 20. But it's been a very good day. I'm very happy. I'm finally got all the setup to do so many interesting things here. Hopefully, I can get some people to start joining the chat. How do you call this? The chat box sometime in the near future. We have many more interesting videos coming up. Let's do another state just for the heck of it. It shows I like what I'm doing. Freaking midnight. I'm looking at all this stuff. You know, it's like some people, folks, some people like money. Some other people actually like, I don't know. I like this. And yeah, I like this. Let me see. California. See if California knows how to party. So California is actually definitely knows how to party. Look at that. 47th state in terms of ranking for obesity. Damn it. Look at these guys. If you want to know how they did this, this is something we need to know. In 2002, these people changed some policies, and they did it pretty damn good, because since 2002 to basically 2000, they have basically stabilized the rate of their obesity. So California is an excellent example of something gone right, from going from crappy to hella crappy. So basically in 12 years, they more than doubled the rate of obesity. And then it's beautiful. Look at this. From 10% basically to 23% in 12 years. And then from 23% to 25% in 12 years. This is called doing the right thing. So you see, folks, something can be done. Let's see what they're saying here. New this year, it also highlights policy actions California is taking to prevent or reduce obesity. According to the most recent data, adult obesity rates now exceed 35% in 5 states, blah, 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 blah. Still, now Hispanics are being affected here, particularly more than any other racial group. And again, men more than women. Diabetes, pretty bad. 10% of the population, about almost a third of the population has high blood pressure. Oh my lord. Oh my lord. Folks, folks, there is no way. You want to know financial Armageddon? This is the absolute graveyard of free healthcare. Is this? This is the graveyard of free healthcare. This is a number folks, that you need to multiply lifelong, okay, tests for heart disease, lifelong medications, beta blockers, statins, ACE inhibitors, and these people will live as long as they live. They will need these medications, unless we find some better things in 20, 30 years, perhaps. So when you multiply that, folks, these are, oh my goodness, it's going to cost a fortune. But then again, life is precious. But the thing is, folks, a lot of this is preventable. And it's preventable when we do something and when we care. But hey, California has done a pretty good job. I want to congratulate you folks over there. Hopefully, you know, people out there listening and looking at this video, you look at this example, 23% in 12 years to 25%. California has done the right thing, folks. We have to look more into, I'm actually gonna have to start reading onto the policies of California, just to, these are the state policies to that they do in order to prevent obesity. Basically, they have breastfeeding, state regulations requiring a license, ECE programs to allow and encourage on-site breastfeeding. Drinking water, state has regulations requiring a licensed ECE programs to make drinking water available to children. Then state healthy eating, state has regulations requiring a licensed ECE programs to have healthy eating policies. And then physical activity, state has regulatory regulations requiring licensed ECE programs to have time of daily physical activity. And then in terms of school, elementary school physical education, high school physical education, middle school physical education time requirement, elementary school, basically exercise, 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 more exercise, safe routes, shared facilities, complete streets. What the hell does that mean? Healthy food financing initiative grants. Anyways, they're doing something right. Let me see if maybe, hopefully, if this is something that it's not just related to California, but maybe another of the, yeah. So look, a bunch of other low percentage states seem to have followed that trend, where they actually have controlled things somewhat. Okay, yeah. Massachusetts didn't really go that route, but California certainly did, and District of Columbia did pretty damn good job. Good job, folks, at District of Columbia. New York still have, oh boy, Jesus. Okay, all right, not too bad. Folks, the treatment for cancer, the tests for cancer are fortunes. Matter of fact, folks, you know, I give you advice on the basis of my good intentions. I don't listen, I will probably give you the best advice you will hear from a doctor in this year. If you are obese and metabolically healthy, if you don't know what that is, go ask your physician to find out if you're obese and metabolically healthy. But if you are, get insurance now. Get insurance, and get insurance with catastrophic coverage. Because if you are among the unlucky few that get into this frigging nightmare of projected cases of heart disease that's about to skyrocket to the frigging moon versus the cancers that are skyrocketing anywhere in the freaking world, particularly in the states with the rates of obesity that are expected to just look tripling, quadrupling, no matter what state you take, no matter what state, anywhere. Look at this, almost quadrupling, tripling, or doubling. Doesn't matter where I go. You need to do it now. 5 times or 4 times, 3 times. What I'm trying to say is that most of you people, if you're not obese, get it now. If you are obese, get it now. If you've got cancer, most of these insurances are not even gonna get near you with a 10-foot pole. So if the government is saying, if these organizations are saying statistically, we're expecting to go from nobody's sick to everybody's got a heart attack. You financially, are you able to afford cancer treatment today? No. Do you think you're going to be able to afford cancer treatment tomorrow? Do you think what you're working hard for right now is going to be worth spending all that money that you're working hard now then? So it may not be a bad idea to get catastrophic insurance at this time when you're healthy, so that you get coverage. And then, by the way, folks, these are calculations that these people are doing in terms of 12 years outcome. We're not talking 50 years. I'm 31 years old. In 12 years, I'll be 43 years old. That's pretty damn young. So as far as these statistics are concerned, as far as the population of the US is concerned, anyways, and again, I'm not giving you medical advice. This is only my opinion. This is purely my opinion. Consult your physician, etc., etc. Okay? So, but the idea behind it, folks, is that if you are among those that, you hear the message, you don't heed the call, you don't follow the advice, there's different types of people, folks. There's those that are already doing it. There are those that are listening to the call, are not doing what the message says. There are those that are listening to the call, have gotten interest, and are doing what the message says. Those that are listening will not do it what the message says. There are those that are not listening and not interested. Who's gonna pay the most? Guess who? If it happens. If it doesn't happen, who knows? Maybe they won't pay at all. But in terms of in terms of high risk, the people that are doing something to not get to not gain an unhealthy weight, they are the safest. They're working to be in a safe spot. And definitely, the insurance companies are not going to cut you slack, because they're not going to want to pay the cost, the hundreds of thousands that it costs us to do cancer treatment. They're not going to want to pay for that. And nobody's going to want to pay the lifelong treatments that you need once you have cardiac bypass. Nobody's going to want to do that. Nobody's going to want to do that for you. Certainly, they're not going to think you deserve their money. So unless some political changes come up in the healthcare industry in the US, which would be something that would, it would help in terms of helping a lot of the people that wouldn't be able to afford that. This people will not be able to afford. Socially, the American culture, the American healthcare system cannot afford this. They cannot afford this. The rise in costs, if people think right now that the US is in a dire economical situation in terms of that, then they ought to invest probably 5 times as more as what they would ever even plan on spending in fighting obesity. And they would probably have to train 10 times the amount of people just to prevent these numbers, because this is but like a projection over 12 years. In 15 years, it's going to be worse. 20 years is going to be worse. 30 years is going to be worse. And this branches out. This is the thing with obesity, folks. Let me show. And this is the last thing for this video. Metabolic syndrome, prediabetes, diabetes, proteinuria, chronic kidney disease, hypertension with diabetic neuropathy, heart attacks, blindness, strokes, dialysis, heart failure, death. That's how it goes. So it basically progresses in that direction, but it starts down here. So it goes up, 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 up like that. And so you gotta uproot the tree down here. You cannot at this area. You cannot invest on treating that. I mean, we don't have a choice, but there is no prevention here. Prevention is down there. This is like fighting the wave when it's a 10-foot wave. There's nothing for you to do there. You just have to like hold your breath because there's nothing to do at that moment. In terms of prevention, it's like preventing, stopping cigarette smoking when you have disseminated lung cancer. It's just not the moment for that at that particular time. So I wish you all the best. Once again, please like the video and subscribe, share it. This video is a little bit technical. The statistics, I love it. I love that website. The state of obesity, left it right there in the middle up here, stateofobesity.org. The good thing, if I would have had a bunch of people seeing the live stream, it would have been that you would have been able to tell me which state do you want me to do. You want me to do New Hampshire? I mean, are you from over there? It's something I would have been interested to see what population, what is your age group doing like right now, and what are the things that your state is doing. I mean, how are you gonna call your mayor or your senator? What are you gonna tell your representative? What are you gonna call them for? Say, hey, what the hell are you guys doing? Look how bad we're doing in terms of obesity. Why are we having so much diabetes in our state? Let me see. Why aren't you guys controlling screening time for? I saw this online. We aren't doing that in New Hampshire. Why aren't you doing that? By the way, why don't we have private breastfeeding spaces? What the hell's going on? There's 4 places that are doing it. Why aren't we doing that? So on and so forth, folks. This is how we change the world. But anyways. Good site. Check this out. Go to this website. You can check where your state is. You can check where it was in time as well, where it was in 1995, where it was in 2000, where it was, so on and so forth, at different moments in time. You can do it but like this. There's different ways that you could see it. And look at this. 9 out of 11 states with the highest obesity are in the South. And that's something. All right, folks.